Your time right now, 8:07, and some school districts like DC currently back in school right now. Many will head back on Monday, and there are even some that will go back after Labor Day. So what can parents do to set their students up for success? Joining us this morning is Euphani Ensham. She's a former educator both in Pittsburgh and in Washington, D.C. Joins us this morning with some tips. Euphani, good to see you.
You as well. Good morning.
Good morning. So, all right, you've been in the classroom, you've worked with students as well as families. How can we as parents make sure that our kids are successful?
Right. So it's important to remember that every school year, success is going to look different for every student. But there are some tips on the broader range that will help parents and students and families, educators as well, get prepared for the best school year. So the New York Times released an article last year, and it talked about the importance of management for stress, nutrition, and good night's sleep. So we're going to talk about those as well as a few other tips.
Okay, cool.
So the first recommendation is always set expectations. So as a parent and a teacher, you're going to be setting expectations for the student. You want to make sure you get student input and make sure that these are goals that are attainable, but also challenging for the student. And then check in with the student to see how they are progressing towards those goals.
And so, you know, if my student is maybe a C or D student and I have maybe an expectation the following year, then I'm like, look, try to get some B pluses, try to get some C pluses. I mean, that's improvement.
Right, and it would be improvement, but it's important to more so focus on the progress and the steps that the student can make in order to reach those goals. So it may not be that they're going to get that immediate B on the next progress report, but if they're starting to make those daily changes to work towards that goal, that's what we want to see. Okay. Cool. So the next step is then, of course, to manage stress. So the school year has its own stressors. You know, there's homework, there's projects, there's things like that, but life is still happening. You know, it doesn't go on pause with summer vacation. So there may be some outside factors that are also going to affect the child, their behavior in school, their academic and social performance. So we want to make sure we're incorporating tips at home, techniques to kind of help manage that stress. It might be yoga, meditation, it might be dancing, a sport, an extracurricular activity, but something the child can be engaged in so that they can help reduce the stressors of everyday life.
Good idea. I didn't, it's something you don't even think about.
Right, but it's important, you know, for the whole family, but especially for the child. The next thing is a tip for parents: know your resources. So the school districts often provide lots of resources for families and for the children, so you want to make sure you're aware of it. We were talking about stress earlier. Homework can be one of those major stressors.
It's got me stressed out just thinking about it.
You're bringing the assignment home, you need some help or assistance, and you know the parent might be trying to explain it in a way that's different than the teacher was. So you want to make sure that you're not adding into the anxiety of the child's homework process. So if there's homework tutoring available after school, oftentimes through an after-school program, that's a good way for a child to get some more support where it's not as much stress at home.
All right, I think we got time for one more tip for us.
Great. So the next tip I would say is good night's sleep. You know, paired with nutrition. Make sure in order for the student to perform best and participate in class, they need those 8 hours, they need a good meal. So make sure we're enforcing a strict bedtime and a good daily routine so they can get their sleep.
All right, 7:30 I think is always a good time maybe to send the kids at home to bed, maybe even earlier depending on how good or bad they are.
Yeah, you need your sleep too.
Absolutely. Euphani, thank you so much. We really appreciate those tips. All right, well, kids are really cute.